Yuji's talk.
Oh yeah, maybe go Mark first.
We'll do this.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll race through this. Last year I went to the American PTG conference. This is my second year.
Christina, would you like to continue or maybe again?
It's my second year doing this,
Maybe
and
you stop
it
doing
was
it.
the same thing. It's the drinking from a fire hose of
Okay,
information.
yeah, I'll
you know,
see you then. Yeah,
4
thank you for
days.
that.
You arrive on Tuesday
Bye-bye.
afternoon, and you start thinking and talking about pianos, and you don't stop till Sunday morning. So just very quickly, these are the categories of the classes, and there were this number of classes under each of these categories. So that comes up to 95 classes, and you have 4 90-minute sessions a day on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so that's 16 spaces. So clearly something has to give, and you have to make your call of what gets thrown out. So what do you do that? So in my case, it was, you could weed it out pretty quickly. For instance, the CAUT, that's colleges and university technicians, and focus groups on dealing with red tape and things like that. So those are out. Design and history, really interesting, not what I wanted to focus on. Those were all out. ETDs, not what I wanted to focus on. Those were out. Business and networking. Well, the first one there was a section on how to run a 12-week apprenticeship. Yes, exactly. And I thought, well, that's probably out, along with everything in that category. So, I got it down to whatever the sum of the others is. So, but still, every period you had to make a choice. Do I go to this one, or do I go to see that one? And you really had to put your ear to the ground and go to the bar to find out who had a really good experience yesterday to try to get in on the next one. So I'll just run through what I did. Wednesday, first session 1, upright hammer replacement. Josie Davis, she works at Brooks and probably hangs 5 sets of hammers a day. So she went through some techniques of doing this in bulk and really fast. It was quite interesting. Section 2, Jason Cassell. Now Jason is there's 2 main sort of training courses in the States. There's the one in Boston, the North Bennett Street, and which is a full year, well, two full years. Yep. And then there's Florida State. Now Florida State does just the basic one and also a master's degree.
There's also Butler School.
There's probably others. It's a big country. So Jason this is at Florida State. Now that's where, I don't know if anybody knows Reed Gainsford.
Yes.
Reed's a New Zealand pianist. So he's at Florida State. This was, Jason did his master's degree on voicing, and in particular, what happens when you stick a needle in what part of the hammer in terms of the partial activations. So doing the spectrogram of the tone, if you stab it here so many times, what happens? And that was quite interesting because he did a lot of samples of playing things. You'd hear what happens, and this is before and after types of things, which is, it's such a subjective field, voicing. So this was quite I decided voicing was one of the things that I wanted to concentrate on, so I did a lot of these. After that, David was there, and we went and had a chat with this chap, Oliver Esmond White, and this is the Fendrick upright piano action, and looked at this design. Now this is an upright, and that's the hammer shank and butt there, and the jack. So that's an interesting little repetition lever. So
bugger rebuilding that.
So he was quite excited about it. Oliver, I believe, is quite a salesman, but it was, and I played it, and it was interesting to play. It was you're in touch with it, because there's no lost motion. That knuckle's sitting on the jack all the time. It's quite interesting.
That's had to confuse a technician.
I'm not going to. That was a. Oh no, I'm trying to go on. That was hearing it, but okay. Afternoon session on Wednesday. A couple of guys from Bechstein. Yeah, interesting. Voicing, grand regulation. Just some of the statistics they gave was quite interesting. Like, what did the chap say? The number of hours that a new Bechstein grand gets for 8 or 9 is what they're allocated. You get to spend this much time on this piano, and then the next piano comes in. So that's it. And then I went to this chap. And David,
heard stories about him.
Yeah.
Move on.
I did go to the pub, the bar later that night, and somebody was, one of the guys I was drinking with was raving about this class. So
It's
there
probably
you
a
go,
guy
David.
called David.
I believe this is the one that you gave us
Yeah.
6 months
You
before.
know, you
Yeah.
modify them.
So the first night there was a concert, and this was a remote stereo cast. The guy was in New York, and the piano was in Washington, D.C. I didn't go. I didn't meet anyone that went.
Wow. Okay.
That might tell you something.
To see the humanless piano.
Yeah, that might tell you something. Maybe the less said, the better. Thursday morning, 5 ways to reshape hammers. This was quite interesting for many reasons. Mostly because this is where you notice that a lot of these classes very quickly get overtaken by the audience. Right? And this was one of them. And this was, Benjamin was a young fellow. I think this was his first time teaching one of these classes, and he pretty quickly just got steamrolled by people in the audience, and it was disappointing. I think he had some interesting ways there. He had Dale Irwin's the little mini belt sander. Yeah. Session 2, Steve Brady, which you may have heard of, and Carl Lieberman, who's the Hollywood, all the studios there. This was called First Do No Harm, and the first half of it was all these ways that piano technicians have harmed the piano and how to avoid it. So don't do this to the piano. And the second half of it was, this is how you harm your body doing this job and how to avoid that. So tips on going to the gym. It was quite similar to Richard Lowe's presentation the last time on the physiotherapy and the exercises that he does. That was very good. That was a really good session. Dave Durbin, Yamaha guy. The head Yamaha guy, very interesting. Here's one of the things that he started with. He went to the piano and said, imagine you're bouncing a basketball. Which one of those balls has more air in it? And it was a really interesting question because the answer to me was immediate. The second one, in this situation, not today, but possibly, but the second one was, oh yeah, they were different, very subtly. How do you describe that difference? And that illustration that was just that really stuck out to me. And the reason was that he had gone in and closed down the blow distance by 2 mil. And when he cranked it back down, exact same basketball. Very interesting demonstration. The other thing that was quite interesting about Dave's presentation is he says, people are always saying, why did Yamaha change the string length here by 0.5 mil or something? He says, they're making a piano is a recipe, and they're always tweaking the recipe. Get over it. Taste the cake. Do you like it? Do you like how it sounds? Do you like playing it? It was, he was really good. I would have liked to have gone and done lots more with him, except that evening he announced his retirement. He was on the flight back to Chicago with me, though. So unfortunately, I wasn't sitting next to him. The fourth session that day, Jim Busby did this thing on voicing. It was disappointing, this one. He wasn't prepared. It got steamrollered again, even though Jim is quite a forceful presenter. Thursday night concert I didn't go to either. I don't remember. Maybe I did. Yeah. I did go to that one.
Stayed at the pub.
I did go to that one, but I think I might have gone to the bar beforehand. So. Okay, day 3, Friday. Maria, Chicago. Also more voicing, and this time actually going into the spectrogram on the pianolyzer, which is something that comes with Rayburn Cybertuner. So she would play the note and show you the spectrogram of the of the partials and their presence, and then do some voicing, let you listen to it, and do it again. And this was quite hands-on. The room was absolutely heaving. Heaps of problems with the technical stuff. They blew a fuse, and it was late getting started. It was difficult, but interesting. Daniel De Biasio, one of the Steinway technicians. There weren't too many people at this one, but it was very good. 90 minutes just on getting into a Steinway and bedding the keyframe. 90 minutes, just, about half of that, how to take out the fall board without damaging stuff. Really, really good.
The apprenticeship's 4 years ago, right?
I went to
1 year for Steinway.
I went to this one, which was about the stereo. I won't say too much. It was interesting. I was sort of interested just from a technical perspective. But, Sally Phillips, the last session on Friday. At the top of my notes, I went back and said, Sally Phillips, OMG. This was the best session that I went to. She was fantastic. She's about this tall, and most of these sessions got steamrolled pretty quickly by people in the audience. Sally Phillips stood up and started talking. The room went quiet, and for 90 minutes, nobody said a word. She was great. She's from central southern Alabama. She's got this beautiful drawl that everyone sat there taking notes. She was fantastic. Interesting perspectives on things, things like, how you can ask 5 technicians a question on how to do a certain thing and you get 6 or 7 answers, different answers, and everyone else has the wrong answer. This is the only way to do it. Sally would say things like, yeah, I know you're supposed to tune between 10 and 2, but I'm 5'1" and I can't reach 12 o'clock. I tune at 3 o'clock.
Yes.
So, very interesting. I went to this one because I was expecting to have to move 3 of my father's pianos when I got back, so I went to this thing on moving. Very good. And Rich was a small guy and does all this piano moving by himself. He's got the right gear. And then this was the last one I did, which was a 3-session thing that Rick Butler did on stress-free casting, trebling, and spacing hammers. Now, it was quite technical. The first was all talking about this particular book, Rudolf Dietz. And this book, this is translated from the German, starts with, first of all, may I ask you to imagine a grand without the action. So you've got a piano, how do you put an action into it? And all the measurements that go, and it very quickly gets reasonably technical and is quite dry. But the main focus was this on hammers bored on an angle, particularly in the low tenor and the bass, and the effect that that has on how you cast in order to make the hammer strike square on and to clear all of its neighbors. Yeah, it's very interesting. There were things that I didn't quite understand even after I saw the presentation several months later again. There's things there that I told Rick, I said, there's something wrong here, Rick. I don't know what it is, but when I figure it out, I'll let you know. But anyway, and then in the second half, John was, his son, was hanging a set of hammers, which was interesting to get John's perspective on how to hang hammers. The next one's in Reno, Nevada in July. I can't go.
Reno.
I'm going to be there.
I won't talk about that. That's a Yamaha U7.
Oh, I've seen one of those. Jeez, that looks top heavy, doesn't it?
I was chatting with one of the guys from, he's got a big store in California, and I had said, you know, Ed, I haven't met that many pianos. I'm new to this, but I think my parents' Yamaha U7 is the nicest upright I've ever met. And he said, the Yamaha U7 is the finest upright that's ever been made. Okay. You're not going to sell that piano then. Oh, and just while I have you here, I have in past times spoken about my database, which is my version of Gazelle, for keeping track of my customers and things like that. Over the long weekend, I made it multi-user, so I'm ready for any beta testers that wish to use it. And I'm happy to talk to anyone more about that, should you not wish to use Gazelle, which is quite pricey.
Yes, very pricey.
Bye.
Yay! Thank you.